Will Pokemon last forever? What up guys, DJ back again with another video. Today we're going to talk about a very popular question that a lot of people ask everybody, not just me, but a lot of investors and flippers and all that. They want to know, how long will Pokemon cards last for? Will it be still alive in 10 years time? Will it still be as popular? Will it be successful in 20 years time? Will people still want this thing? Who really knows? But we're going to crack this question today. We're going to have a crack at it. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Of course, these are all opinions. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you agree with what I have to say as well. So what I want to start off with, besides nostalgia and all that other stuff, which I think everyone does talk about. So that's probably one of the most obvious ones. But the thing that's really super duper important in regards to this question is two words, and that is genuine interest. That is really super duper important in this hobby. It is pretty much a make or break kind of deal. With genuine interest, it can really make this hobby last forever. And, well, you know, never say never or forever, but you know what I mean. But what I'm trying to say is, without genuine interest, that can destroy the hobby too. You need to have the right level of genuine interest in this hobby for it to be okay, for it to survive. I think genuine interest ranks above all else. If there wasn't enough interest in this hobby up to now, it wouldn't be what it is today. Now, I know some people might be like, oh, okay, really? But you know, you do have to think about this thing, especially if you are investing, if you're interested in holding things long term. I think this question is super duper important for those people, especially because they are considering holding this for a very long time, and it's a risk. It's always a risk when you're investing in something like this. And I know we talk a lot about investing and collecting and all that, but collecting is a just different base to investing, you know. And the collecting part is what keeps this hobby alive. That is where the genuine interest is. This hobby is nothing without the collectors. And I really feel that the collectors are the biggest piece to the puzzle here. If there are genuine collectors out there, I know there's a lot of them. And there's way more collectors than there are investors and flippers and scalpers. I think that's just a fact. I don't have any numbers to prove that, but you know, they are the number one customer. The investors invest to sell to the collectors. Pokemon makes products for the collectors. The scalpers buy all the products because they want to sell it to the collectors. Collectors are the most important thing in the hobby. Those are the guys that are genuine. Those guys equal genuine interest. Those guys are the most important. And if there are no more collectors, this hobby is pretty much dead, all right? There was a point in time where the hobby was kind of in a dead zone, and I think that was in the year 2000 to 2003-ish, you know, when all those sets were coming out. I think the EX series, they were a little less popular, a little less demand for them. Pokemon started dying off a little bit, and I feel that had something to do with schools as well, how they banned cards. I know my school banned Pokemon cards, and it just made it really hard to connect with friends, you know, swap cards and all that, and play the game, so people just lost interest. I think if they kept that going, I feel like Pokemon could have definitely kept booming in school, but that was how I experienced it in my childhood. So let me know if that was the same for you or not. But they did ban Pokemon cards in most of the schools where I'm from, so in Australia. And I felt like that really put kind of a bit of an end to Pokemon cards. I think that was right after, you know, Fossil or Jungle. I think they were really getting into the Neo sets at that time. And it was just slowly dropping off. But we live in a different era now. And, you know, there's many things that can keep this thing going. And social media is a very powerful thing right now. It is helping Pokemon stay alive. And, you know, it creates hype. It creates, you know, excitement. It creates happiness. It makes people genuinely interested and engaged in the hobby. And that is very healthy and very good. And, you know, a lot of people talk about bubbles. A lot of people talk about, you know, are people really happy here, or are they just, you know, creating hype and all that stuff? They're just here to make money. And I know there's a lot of investors, but as I was saying before, the collectors make most of this hobby happen. And, you know, there really wouldn't be many investors out there if there weren't collectors, and I feel that there are a lot of cross collectors that come into the hobby purely for a lot of this hype and stuff, but also the investors like myself. I do slightly invest, but I would class myself more as a collector. A lot of the things I have are collection pieces than anything else. And you can kind of tell when the person is like very hesitant to sell their items. They really don't want to let go of something, but the investment side kicks in as well. So I think the investors kind of grew up, right? They were children once upon a time. I was a child once upon a time. We all were. And, we started off loving the artwork, loving the cards. And then, we started collecting again. And then we realized, hey, these things are getting worth a bit of money. So let's start, maybe buying up some stuff, extra stuff to resell. And there is nothing wrong with that. But, there are half collectors, half investors. And those guys do help the hobby, and they do help create genuine interest and excitement and stuff like that. So right now, hobby is in a healthy spot. In 20 years' time, it's very hard to say, but I'm finding it very unlikely that, Pokemon will ever die. If they keep this ball rolling, and as long as there's genuine interest, Pokemon can pretty much last forever, And I know that's a really bold statement, when people say, oh, Pokemon cards will never go down. I never said that. I did say, though, that I think Pokemon cards will still be kind of relevant in 20 years' time and 10 years' time. I've had a few people say, oh, why are you investing in cards? In 10 years' time, this will all be over and finished. Pokemon is bigger than ever. I know people say that a lot as well. But there was a time when Pokemon was not as big, was pretty much kind of dying off. And they were still alive. They were still making sets. There were some people still buying sets. There were still some people engaged in the hobby. And that's what kept it afloat until the next big thing. I feel like the Black and White series, the Heart Gold Soul Silver series, and some of the other sets before that, they were, because there wasn't many people there, the print run was low. And, it kind of makes sense. When you, I don't know if you guys know, but I was a manager at KFC. So, if I know today's a Monday, we're not going to sell much, so I'm not going to cook as much. On a Friday night, I'd make sure I have a lot of chicken ready for the customers because I know there's going to be a lot of customers coming in. It's the kind of same with the print run, right? So if they knew there was a time, all right, it's kind of quieting down. We don't need to print as much. It's kind of just waste of resources, waste of money, really. So although we have seen that in the past with Steam Siege and a few other sets that have been proven to be a little bit unpopular, but different times, different whatever it is. But what I'm trying to say here, guys, is Pokemon's a smart company. They are a business first and foremost. They're going to look after the collectors and the gamers first, and that is very important. Those guys they make this hobby tick. They make it go round. They are pretty much the definition of genuine interest. Now, I know a lot of investors and stuff have to be kind of interested because they need to know their prices. They need to do the research. They need to be engaged in the hobby to know what's this going for, what's this going for, do people like this? And, you can't really invest in something you don't really know much about, especially in a hobby like this. It's a collectible. And, there's always risk, but you kind of know Charizard's a good option. People like that. People will pay for that. The starters, good option. Vintage, good option. Promo cards, good option. Sealed product, very safe, very easy to move. Certain PSA slabs, not as easy, and so on and so forth. So, knowing all that, it comes from interest as well. And, a lot of us businessmen and, people like who own their own shop, like TCA Gaming or Z&G Emporium, they started off collecting once upon a time. They know the cards, they like the cards, and they're actually very interested in the cards themselves. I don't see Pokemon ever really dying off, simply because there's just way too much genuine interest out there. And that is the only thing that will really destroy this hobby. And I know a lot of people say scalpers will destroy the hobby and investors and stuff like that. But the real fact of the matter is, it is genuine interest that keeps this thing going. If there's not enough genuine interest out there, then this thing just goes to kaput. Now, I think there will always be genuine interest because I know for myself, personally, I think I will just keep buying up this stuff, and I got a lot of friends that feel the same way. And every time someone says, "Oh, the market's crashing and the prices are going down, time to sell all your stuff and get out of the hobby," and all that other stuff. So it's funny when they say that, and then all these other people be like, "Oh, really? Well, show me all the cheap prices so I can buy it up, everything." So I think if it ever came to a very low point in this, hobby where things were going really low in price, people will be buying it up like hotcakes, really. There's enough people out there that's kind of, I wouldn't say smart enough, but I would say smart enough at the same time to just buy up all the stocks, really. So, we're going to see dips, we're going to see troughs, we're going to see ups and downs. It is big as ever right now. And, there could be a time in 2021 or 2022 or whatever that the market and the hobby is kind of just at a slump. Not much interest out there. Maybe they're putting out too many sets. Maybe they're boring people. Maybe they're putting out too many Charizards. Maybe there's certain issues. Maybe they're just catering to certain people and a lot of other people don't really like it. People are bored of the Charizards. People are bored of whatever. So, there could be a time where it slows down, but I just don't see Pokemon ever really dying out completely. They keep coming out with new merchandise, new games, and they keep coming out with more Pokemon. In 10 to 20 years' time, there might be 3,000 Pokemon. There might be 2,000 Pokemon. We don't really know. The other thing is, I guess we can touch on nostalgia. A lot of people are in this thing for nostalgia. It reminds them of childhood, and it really touches here in the heart. And, it's feelings. It's very emotional. People get attached to it. They get addicted to it. Addictive me. Genuine interest is definitely the most important thing in this hobby, and I can't say it enough. It's just outweighs everything, including nostalgia, in my opinion. But nostalgia kind of forms that genuine interest. It's the reason why it's there as well. So who knows? Nostalgia is very important, but you all know about it anyway. For me, I feel if there was ever a time that Pokemon was going to die off, it would have been back then, I think in the year 2000s, when Pokemon was dying off already. But they would manage to stay afloat, like I was saying before. And if they were able to do that then, with barely any social media as much as now, barely any hype, and they were still alive, like right now, I think it's just too far gone. It's kind of like sports. Sports has gone around for a long time. There's always new players. There's always the game is the same. Nothing's really changed. Maybe a few rule changes, but there's always new players, new things to look forward to. And it's the same with Pokemon. There's going to be new Pokemon, new mechanics, new game styles, and all that jazz, So I feel like, this thing, they could easily keep this ball rolling. They are a profitable business. They want to keep this thing going. Who would want to stop a business that is so successful as Pokemon, right? If you own this company right now, you would not just be like tomorrow, hey, we got enough money, we'll stop making cards now. It's just a kind of silly notion. I know a lot of people say, hey, prices will drop, blah, 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 it's going to die or whatever like that. But I find that really unlikely. I feel like we've come to a point where there's certain products that we're just never going to see at a certain price ever again, You're never going to see a base set booster pack for $5. I'm pretty sure. Like, I know you should never say never, but I just can't see that. I can't imagine that happening. The day that happens, if nobody else is interested, I am going to buy up all those $5 packs. Like, that's just me. I'm sure there's plenty of other people that will be very interested in something like that. And, it comes down to that whole genuine interest thing, People collect things that they like and they love. They don't really care so much about the values all the time. And I like to stress that a lot because that is super duper important as well. That's what really keeps this thing alive. People spend hundreds of dollars on this and they might not get the value back on the packs or on the boxes, but they get the value in here. They get the value in the experience, the fun, the excitement, That's where they get the value, and that's why it's so important that the collectors are kind of number one in this hobby. And I know, we talk about investing. I do, talk a lot about it and try to give it my best advice and my thoughts on it. But at the end of the day, collectors are the guys keeping this thing going. And I feel as long as there's collectors out there, this thing can go on forever. Literally forever. Now, we're just scratching the surface. That's what I feel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Enter my giveaways if you haven't already. See you in 2 to 3 days' time. Bye. Woo.